Visceral fat sits deeper in your abdomen, wrapped around organs like the liver, pancreas, and intestines. Subcutaneous fat is the softer layer just under the skin, the one you can pinch on your waist or arms. On the outside, they both look like belly fat, but inside the body, they behave very differently, and that difference changes how fast they respond to diet and exercise. Visceral fat is more metabolically active. That sounds like a good thing, but it also means it releases more fatty acids and signaling molecules into the bloodstream. Those signals can raise inflammation and interfere with how well insulin works, which is why higher visceral fat is linked to a greater risk of metabolic diseases, even in people who are not extremely heavy. The interesting part is that because visceral fat is so active, it can sometimes shrink faster when you create the right conditions. Regular movement, better insulin sensitivity, lower stress noise, and decent sleep. It is not only about burning calories, it's about nudging the whole system into a calmer, more efficient state so the body feels safe using that stored fat. Before we go deeper, I want to hear from you. When you think about your own body, what worries you more right now? The number on the scale or the measurement around your waist? Drop it in the comments, because that answer says a lot about where your focus is today. The first key is the pattern of energy balance across the week, not a single workout. Visceral fat tends to drop when your overall routine gently pushes you to use more stored fuel than you store, repeatedly over time. One intense session that leaves you exhausted but inconsistent does far less than moderate effort done again and again. The second key is insulin sensitivity. When your muscles respond better to insulin, they pull glucose from the blood more efficiently, and your body becomes less eager to stash extra energy as visceral fat. Regular rhythmic exercise, especially in an aerobic zone, is very good at nudging insulin sensitivity in the right direction. The third key is the stress and recovery environment around your training. High stress, poor sleep, and emotional overeating can push fat storage back toward the abdomen, even when you are technically working out. If your exercise choice leaves you wired, sore, and constantly hungry, it can quietly sabotage your progress. So the faster option for visceral fat is usually the one that helps you line up these three keys at the same time. A weekly energy pattern you can sustain, better insulin sensitivity, and a calmer, more recoverable nervous system.
On a rebounder, your body is never fully relaxed. With every bounce, your ankles, knees, hips, and core are making tiny adjustments to keep you balanced. Those small corrections recruit a surprising amount of muscle over time, which costs energy even when the session feels easy or fun. The up and down motion also raises your heart rate quickly because you are fighting gravity on every jump. That rhythmic, elastic work can place you into an effective aerobic or even mixed aerobic-anaerobic zone, depending on how fast and how high you bounce. In simple terms, your cardiovascular system has to wake up and respond. Many people also find that the mini-trampoline feeling lowers the mental barrier to starting. You can put on music and bounce in short bursts, change directions, or play with tempo. That enjoyment factor is not just emotional. If you like the exercise, you are far more likely to repeat it enough for visceral fat to actually change. Still, rebounder is a type of impact. For some bodies, especially with pelvic floor issues, vertigo, balance problems, or certain joint conditions, that playful bounce can be too much. So the question is not, is rebounder good or bad, but is it the right type of stress for your current body and your current recovery capacity? Walking shines in one thing that almost nothing beats. It is easy to repeat. You can walk on different days, in different moods, and in most environments without special equipment. That repeatability lowers psychological resistance, and visceral fat tends to respond to what you do often, not what you do once. Walking also builds up daily energy expenditure in a quiet way. A long walk does not usually leave you wiped out, so you still move during the rest of the day. That stacking of gentle movement can create a strong weekly effect without feeling like traditional exercise, which is powerful for people who hate workouts. There's also the stress angle. For many people, walking outdoors lowers mental tension, helps regulate emotions, and supports better sleep later. Since stress hormones and sleep quality influence appetite and fat distribution, that calming effect can indirectly help reduce visceral fat over the long term. Where walking can be slower is intensity. A short, slow stroll once in a while will not challenge your cardiovascular system much. If pace, duration, or terrain never progress, the metabolic shift may be gentle and slow. That doesn't mean walking is weak. It just means that, for speed, the structure and volume start to matter a lot. Most people judge a workout by how much they sweat or how exhausted they feel. The hidden problem is that neither sweat nor exhaustion reliably tells you how much meaningful fat you will lose, especially visceral fat. They only describe how tough the session felt, not what your body will do in the next 24 hours. Another trap is relying on calorie numbers from watches or machines. Those tools can be off by a wide margin, and even if the calories were exact, they say nothing about what happens to your appetite later. A session that burns more on the screen can still backfire if it makes you so hungry that you overshoot your intake for the rest of the day.
The real scoreboard is the weekly pattern. Did you move often? Did your appetite stay reasonably under control? Did you sleep and recover well enough to repeat the plan? Visceral fat shrinks when that pattern holds for weeks, not when a single day looks impressive in isolation. So instead of asking, which one burns more calories, rebounder or walking, a better question is, which one lets me keep moving, keep eating like a sane adult, and keep going long enough to see my waistline and blood markers change? Before we go further, tell me in the comments which one tends to leave you more tired and more hungry afterwards, rebounder or walking. Your answer says a lot about how your body is reacting. Cortisol is not evil. It is a normal hormone that helps you wake up, focus, and respond to challenges. The issue appears when stress is constant, sleep is poor, and food becomes a way to cope. In that environment, the body can shift more fat toward the abdominal area in some people, making visceral fat harder to budge. If you turn rebounder sessions into daily all-out efforts, they might feel heroic but keep your system in a state of constant activation. You may notice you are wired at night, craving more sugar or snapping at small things. In that case, even if the workout is effective on paper, your stress environment is not helping your visceral fat loss. Walking, for many, works in the opposite direction. It often soothes the nervous system, especially when done at a comfortable pace or in nature. That calmer state can make it easier to eat more mindfully, wind down at night, and wake up without feeling like you have already lost the day before breakfast. The interesting part is that different people will sit on different points of this spectrum. Some will thrive on short, bouncy intervals on the rebounder and feel amazing afterward. Others will feel pushed over the edge by that same intensity and do far better with a foundation of walking. The winner for visceral fat is the one that keeps your stress and recovery in a healthy, repeatable zone. When people talk about Zone 2 cardio, they are describing a pace where you can still talk in short sentences but clearly feel you are working. That moderate, steady effort is a sweet spot for improving the way your body uses fat as fuel and for building an aerobic base, which is strongly linked to better visceral fat profiles. Intervals are a different flavor. You go harder for a short burst, then ease off, then repeat. On a rebounder, that might be 30 to 60 seconds of more explosive bouncing, followed by gentle bouncing. With walking, that might be a fast uphill segment followed by a flatter, slower section. Both styles can raise fitness and improve insulin sensitivity, which is a big lever for visceral fat. Impact is where rebounder and walking start to diverge. The trampoline surface softens some of the impact compared with running on hard ground, but your joints, pelvic floor, and balance still carry a share of the load. Walking, especially on even terrain, generally keeps impact low and predictable, which can be kinder for many knees, hips, and backs. From a science perspective, both moderate continuous training and higher intensity intervals have been shown to reduce abdominal and visceral fat.
Some studies give a small edge to more intense work for speed. Others find similar results, as long as the total work over the week is high enough. The deciding factors are usually your body's tolerance for impact and how much intensity you can recover from consistently. A workout is not just calories out. It also changes hormones and brain signals that influence calories in. After gentler, steady walking, many people notice something interesting. They feel pleasantly tired but not starving. That makes it easier to stay close to their planned meals and snacks, so the fat burned during the walk is not canceled at dinner. More intense bouncing on a rebounder can go either way. Some people feel their appetite dip for a while right after hard intervals because blood is still redirected toward muscles and away from the gut. Later in the day, though, the body may try to pay itself back, especially if you are already undereating or undersleeping. In that scenario, cravings for calorie-dense foods can quietly creep up. Psychology joins the party too. After a session that feels brutal, it is very easy to think, "I earned this," and reward yourself with food that replaces more than you burned. After a calm walk, you are less likely to feel that you deserve a huge treat just for surviving, which, ironically, can make walking more powerful for waistlines in real life. So the better tool for visceral fat is often the one that fits your personal appetite pattern. If intense bouncing leaves you prowling the kitchen at night, it may be smarter to use rebounder intensity in small, planned doses on top of a base of walking, so you get fitness gains without waking up a monster appetite. Most research on aerobic exercise and waistline changes points toward a simple pattern. People who rack up roughly 2.5 to 5 hours per week of at least moderate intensity cardio tend to see meaningful reductions in waist circumference and visceral fat over several weeks or months. Walking briskly or doing rhythmic cardio like bouncing can both fit into that category. There are also dose-response hints. Studies suggest that to reduce visceral fat with exercise alone, many adults need a fairly solid weekly load, equivalent to about 1 hour of brisk movement on most days of the week, especially if diet is only okay rather than tightly controlled. The twist is that time is not just minutes. Time is what you can tolerate and repeat. 30 minutes of gentle rebounder work done 5 days a week beats one savage 90-minute session that wipes you out so badly you skip the next 3 days. The same goes for walking. A regular habit of longer walks will outrun a random hero walk that happens once a fortnight. So, when we ask which one burns visceral fat faster, we have to zoom out. If Rebounder lets you pack enough quality minutes into your week without overshooting your recovery, it can absolutely create faster visible changes. If walking is the only thing you will actually do for that many minutes, then walking wins the real-world race, even if the lab numbers look similar. Rebounder tends to favor people who enjoy playful movement, have at least a basic level of balance, and do not have major joint, pelvic floor, or inner ear issues. If you like music, short bursts of effort, and the feeling of being slightly weightless for a moment on each bounce, the mini-trampoline can turn cardio into something that feels more like a game than a chore. Walking tends to favor almost everyone else. It is accessible at many body sizes, does not require special equipment besides shoes, and allows easy control of intensity just by changing pace or terrain. For people with knee, hip, or back worries, or for those who have not exercised for a long time, walking is usually the safer first step before considering anything bouncy. There's also a mental health angle. Some people feel self-conscious bouncing, especially in shared spaces, while walking outside feels socially normal. Others love the privacy of a rebounder at home and dislike being seen on the street or in the gym. Whichever option creates less friction in your mind is likely to win on consistency, and consistency is the real fat loss machine. If you are dealing with medical conditions, recent surgery, dizziness, pregnancy, or high cardiovascular risk, walking at a comfortable pace is typically the first line, ideally cleared by your health professional. The rebounder, with its extra balance demand and vertical forces, is something to add only when you and your care team are confident your body is ready for that extra layer of challenge. Here's a simple way to stack the deck in your favor over 4 weeks without turning your life upside down.
Think of walking as your base and Rebounder as your booster. On 3 to 5 days of the week, schedule a brisk walk of 20 to 40 minutes where you can still talk but clearly feel you are working. That builds your aerobic engine and keeps stress manageable. Then, on 2 or 3 non-consecutive days, add short rebounder sessions. Start with about 10 to 15 minutes total. After 2 to 3 minutes of easy bouncing, do simple intervals, around 30 seconds of more energetic bouncing, followed by 90 seconds of gentle bouncing, repeated a few times. As the weeks pass, you can add more rounds if your joints and energy feel good. Across the 4 weeks, watch 3 things: your waist measurement, your energy during the day, and your hunger in the evening. If your waist is slowly trending down, your energy feels steadier, and your appetite is not exploding at night, that's a strong sign the combination and intensity are working for your visceral fat, even if the scale barely moves. Remember, waist changes can happen without huge weight loss. To close this video, here's the honest verdict. For some people, carefully used rebounder intervals will shrink visceral fat a bit faster. For others, especially those who feel calmer with low-impact movement, consistent walking will win. The smartest move for most people is to blend both in a way that feels kind to your joints and realistic for your life. And if this video helped you, take a second to like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it with that friend who always asks which one burns belly fat faster, walking or the trampoline. Your support helps this kind of science-based content reach more people.